40 years later, in terms of the homeless issues, the emotionally disturbed, this is too important to get wrong.
Rudy Giuliani is the former mayor of New York City and the man credited with turning around the city's crime problem. Mr. Mayor, great to see you.
Great to see you.
And so many New Yorkers just love you because of what you did for this city, and Bill Bratton helped you do it. So why is he achieving such a different result under a different mayor?
Because he had a different mayor.
What's the difference?
The difference is a exceedingly left-wing socialist, I don't know what you want to call it, policy that tolerates the idea that people can live on the streets. Now, let's examine this for a second, Kelly. If my brother was living on the streets of New York City, what would I do? Would I let him live there? Or would I go and intervene and try to get him off the streets and get him into a house, drug rehabilitation, alcohol rehabilitation, or mental health situation where he gets medicine? So when I was mayor, my police officers would go up to homeless people with a social worker, and we would take them off the streets. You were not allowed to live on the streets of New York City.
Totally different story now.
You do not have a right to live on the streets of New York City.
So what is it with this mayor and other mayors like him in other cities that they think, is it the kind thing? They don't want to lock up the homeless?
It's mean. It's mean, it's inhumane, it's horrible. When I see a city with homeless people, I see a city that doesn't love people. If you love people, you intervene and help them.
But they seem to have a different attitude. You look at, okay, this just is an example. City Council Speaker Melissa Mark-Viverito. She's working on a proposal that would make crimes no longer crimes, like public urination and public consumption of alcohol and being in a park after dark and jumping subway turnstiles.
So she has no idea what a civilized society is. She hasn't figured out what Western civilization has achieved for us. I mean, public urination indicates some, particularly if you're doing it constantly, or defecation, like
it's
the
like
people I've
It's the
seen.
beginning of the end. Look at this New York Post cover. It's the beginning of the end.
By the way, it affects public health for me and you. So the reality is, if you love people, if your brother was an alcoholic,
you'd do something about it.
Would you give him money to buy alcohol? Or would you get him into an alcohol rehabilitation
program? Does it go beyond you?
So she doesn't treat that person as a person. She treats him as an idea, as an ideology, as a thinking. This is the problem with socialist, which is what it really is, or liberal or progressive ideology. Progressive is the worst term we've ever used. It's retrogressive. It takes us back to an era in which we were out of control.
How bad does it have to get, do you think, in these cities? I mean, look at it. Houston, murder rate up 53%. Milwaukee up 85%. How bad does it have to get before these cities actually do something about it?
Pretty bad. I only got elected mayor of New York City in 1993 because there had been 2,224 murders, 2,211 murders, 1,900 murders, and I got them down to 500, and Bloomberg got them down to 300. It has to get to be a catastrophe before people respond and say, my God, we can't take these ridiculous, silly, liberal policies, which are anti-humane. It is not humane to allow a person to live on the streets. He is only going to get worse. 40% of the people living on the streets are probably mentally ill.
Yeah, and we just saw, just this weekend, we saw the 20th forcible robbery in Central Park this year, double that of 2014.
And they kill each other.